Yo, what's going on? Mike from Mike Talk Sports. The most intriguing positional battle in Dallas for the Cowboys this offseason is the tight end position. And this positional battle at the tight end position is going to be between Luke Schoonmaker, their second round pick this year, and Jake Ferguson, their fourth round pick last year. Let me break down Luke and Jake and give my prediction to who will be the more productive tight end for the Dallas Cowboys this season. Stay tuned till the end of the video because in my opinion, I have a very hot take between these two guys. So let's first dive into the newer Dallas Cowboy. It is going to be Luke Schoonmaker again. He was drafted with the 58th pick in this year's NFL draft. Luke is a guy who is a Connecticut native from New Haven, so shout out Connecticut. He ended up going to Michigan, and his stats at Michigan were not wowing. Now that is to be expected considering Michigan year in and year out has an absolutely anemic passing game. But Michigan is also notorious for having a very deep and good tight end group. Every single year, it seems as though they have a prospect coming out of their program at the tight end position. So Luke really did not get playing time until his redshirt senior year. And in his redshirt senior year, he had 35 catches, 418 yards, and 3 touchdowns. One negative out of Luke that is a positive for Jake is that Luke was born in 1998, meaning he's going to be 25 in September. So to be 25 in your rookie season for the majority of it is definitely a negative, whereas Jake was born in 1999, so he is going to be a year younger. Luke is 6'5" and he's 251 pounds. I'll be completely honest. When you dial up the tape and watch Luke Schoonmaker as a guy with contested catches and a guy as a blocker, now he's a very good blocker. He has really nice run blocking technique, and he even has really nice pass blocking technique. So in a 12 personnel set where both of these guys are going to be on the field, I really do favor Luke Schoonmaker to be the one and to be the guy who stays back and blocks for his quarterback. Because again, he does have that blocking advantage over Jake. The thing is about Luke though, I'm not too sure he plays at that 251 pound mark. To me, it just seems as though he's more around that 240 pound mark. And I say that because he does get pushed around by bigger edge players at college, at Michigan. And I do foresee that being the case in the NFL as well. So like I just alluded to, that somewhat lack of play strength does affect him in the contested catching department. He's not a bad contested catch guy, but he's not a guy who you're going to throw a 50-50 ball up to. Luke Schoonmaker is a tight end that is more of a safety blanket tight end. Now, for a safety blanket tight end, he does have good speed. In fact, I do think he's slightly faster than Jake Ferguson, which is definitely a good positive out of Luke Schoonmaker. He's a guy who could catch a tight end screen and take it 5-10 yards. His acceleration, change of direction, and agility, I would say is slightly above average for a tight end in the NFL. It's pretty solid and it's pretty good. And again, after the catch, he's going to give you some upside at the tight end position. And that change of direction and agility ability is going to do wonders for Luke Schoonmaker in terms of getting open. He's a guy at Michigan who was consistently getting open. Now, breaking down some of the other skills Luke is going to need to display at the NFL level to be a consistent pass catcher for Dak Prescott and this offense is looking at his hands. His hands are decent. It's not that he had drop issues in college. I just don't see this insane ability to catch the ball with his hands, with the technique. He's more of a body catcher in some of his passes at Michigan, which is definitely a negative for Luke. Again, he doesn't have bad hands, but I wouldn't say it's a strength of his that he has these crazy strong hands that he brings down every single ball that'll be thrown to him. Now, I said before that he does have good agility. He has a good change of direction, but at college, it plays more into his ability to get open. After the catch, he's shown some flashes and some potential. I did allude to earlier that he can be very good after the catch, but in college, he straight up did not really show an incredible ability after the catch. Me saying he's going to be good after the catch is me kind of projecting his skill set into the NFL rather than me saying, oh, I know he's good after the catch because he's shown it in college. It's a bit of a question mark for Luke. All in all, I do like Luke, but to me, he's kind of a worse version of Dawson Knox. And Dawson Knox is a good tight end in Buffalo. He just got a big contract, but let's not forget, Buffalo is trying to hit on higher upside than a guy like Dawson Knox, which is why they just took a tight end very early in the NFL draft. Again, I do like Luke, but the fact that he's going to be 25 in his rookie year, I straight up think that second round pick was a bit of a reach. To me, he's more of a 4th to a 5th round prospect. Now let's break down Jake Ferguson. So he's a second-year player. He ended up going to Wisconsin in college. Like I mentioned before, he was a 4th round pick in last year's draft. And in his rookie year, of course, he was stuck behind Dalton Shultz. But last year, he had 19 catches and 2 touchdowns as a rookie. His pass and run blocking is solid. I would say it's about average for a tight end in the NFL. I would give the run and pass blocking advantage to Luke Schoonmaker, as I mentioned previously. Now, Jake has okay speed, and I think Luke is slightly faster than Jake. Outside of that, I'm going to give every single attribute in terms of being a receiving tight end. I'm going to give that advantage to Jake Ferguson. Jake Ferguson was a very good, prolific pass catcher at Wisconsin. He's a very agile and shifty guy. He's more agile and shifty than Luke, even though Luke is agile and shifty himself. His catching is very good, but to me, what is damn near elite is his catch radius and his contested catching ability. It just seems as though Jake is a very natural pass catcher. You could tell this guy in high school was a guy who led his team in receiving yards. He just has a natural feel for the receiving position at the tight end position, which is a huge positive for Jake Ferguson and something I absolutely love about him. Again, we don't associate guys with okay speed to be elite after the catch, but after the catch, man, Jake Ferguson is special. He has this rare ability of angle manipulation in terms of he knows the exact angle of pursuit the defensive back is going to take in order to tackle Jake Ferguson, and he's so good at just shifting that angle and causing himself to gain an extra 5 to 10 yards on the play. Even though he was a 4th round pick, in my opinion, Jake Ferguson was about a 3rd round prospect. So to end the video, I do think Jake Ferguson is a better receiving tight end than Luke Schoonmaker. I think Luke Schoonmaker was slightly overdrafted, and I think Jake Ferguson was slightly underdrafted. If I'm going to give my official prediction, I think Jake Ferguson ends up leading this tight end group in receiving yards, receiving catches, and touchdowns over Luke Schoonmaker and the rest of the field. Now, one thing to note, the Dallas Cowboys are somewhat notorious for playing guys that were drafted at higher positions at their position group than other guys on the roster, despite not being as good. Now, the most notable example of this is obviously Ezekiel Elliott getting snaps over Tony Pollard. That's not going to be the case anymore. And hopefully with this new idea and identity to this Dallas Cowboys offense, with a new offensive scheme coming here, they just slightly favor the guy who is a better football player over the draft pick. I hope that's what happens out of this Dallas Cowboys training camp. Again, I think Jake Ferguson is better than Luke Schoonmaker. I think Jake is a good enough tight end in terms of blocking to justify him playing over Luke Schoonmaker in the run game. And then in the passing game, I'm going to give a distinct advantage to Jake Ferguson. So again, my official prediction, I think Jake Ferguson is going to be a better pro than Luke Schoonmaker despite that draft position. Thanks for listening, guys. Let me know in the comment section below. Do you agree with my take that Jake Ferguson is better than Luke? Let me know in the comment section below.